Yeah. Yeah, I knew there was an autosave here. Of course, I'm going to have to change the audio levels in a second. This is Suikoden 2 on the Nintendo Switch. Game provided by the Maryland Library System. This game has a long wind-up. It's like half an hour before you can get to the first save point, so fair warning. Just letting you know in advance. So we'll play up to that part, and then we'll do a separate video where the game actually starts, it looks like. There's no spoken dialogue for this remaster. And I want to say that opening cutscene did not look anywhere near as good in the PS1 video codecs they were using back then. So yeah, they clearly remastered the prologue. That opening cinematic was obviously a remaster. Yeah, that's a reasonable compromise. You don't spend a bunch of money doing the whole Final Fantasy VII remake thing, which costs hundreds of millions of dollars. You just do this. So I expect a lot more RPGs looking like this, especially if they're remasters. This is a light remaster, like the pixel remaster that Final Fantasy 1 through 6 did for their collection disc that I played. That's like very basic, like it's really inexpensive. Join the party. I thought there was some buzzing on my controllers a second. Is that? No, that should be fine. Yeah, I want to make sure that there's no buzzing on my controller. Let me check on something. So we'll turn down the music for here. But like I said, there's no spoken dialogue for this remaster, which is accurate to the original game. I think it's fair to say. Very few Japanese RPGs that I played in that era had spoken dialogue. I mean, obviously, Metal Gear Solid was leaning really heavy into like MP3 encoding, I want to say. And of course, Conker's Bad Fur Day did that, but those weren't RPGs. If they wanted to have spoken dialogue, you have to spend a whole bunch of money on, not just the voice acting, but you have to spend the voice actors and all of that presentational stuff that wasn't being done in Final Fantasy games back then. I think it's fair to say. So apparently I'm supposed to trigger a narrative event, and I'm going to have to run away. But it's probably not here. It's supposed to be somewhere else, I think. No, here we go. This is the narrative trigger. Okay, fine. So maybe we should go to sleep. Like I said, I mean, if there's a place to save the game, I don't know where it is. So the game set up this auto-save, but if you play this game for half an hour, you're not going to get an ability to save. So in that sense, it's kind of like Valkyrie Profile. So maybe that's why Valkyrie Profile did it, is that you basically had to sit through 1 hour prologue just to get to the meat of the game where you could actually save. And this game might be doing the same thing. And this game preceded Valkyrie Profile by several years. I want to say it's, 98? Again, people complain, people were saying, like, hey, they don't churn out these RPGs the way they used to. Well, I think Suikoden came out within a year of the PlayStation 1's launch. I forget. I want to say this game is from 97 or 98. And Suikoden 3 is a PS2 game, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, that's right. Yeah, let's go to sleep. So, yeah, I guess it was just a chance for me to wander around. But if there's a way to save the game, I wasn't aware of what it was. I wasn't really paying attention to the story that much either, honestly. A lot of mid-90s Japanese RPGs are kind of lame as far as, like, the translation goes. This is most likely an arrangement of the original PlayStation soundtrack, just like the first game was. Frame rate's kind of janky. For a top-down RPG from 1995, it's pretty janky. Yeah, well, it's an RPG. I don't know what anyone wants here. I guess we can't go that way. I do love the wood instrument. I do love the wind instrument they're using there for the melody. I do kind of like that. Don't know if it's the same composer as the first game either. Can't skip this story. Can't skip these cutscenes, apparently. Yeah, the X button is for the log, but we can't actually skip any of these cutscenes. So I have a different option. Because last time I tried to talk to the captain. So let's try the different option. Yeah, the last time I tried to talk to the captain and it didn't go well for me. So I might do that option later. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, they added these water effects for the remaster. Okay. So now, again, now I am curious how this game plays on the original hardware. Oh, another anime betrayal. But I don't really have a choice. So this is just like the first game as far as like the turn-based setup they got going on. I figure we're supposed to die here anyway. Game didn't give me an opportunity to save. This game is like notoriously expensive, as I recall. Like, it's over $100, I think, if not $200, here in 2025. I mean, this game's always been kind of hard to find. A lot of Japanese RPGs of the era got really expensive just before the pandemic, and didn't get any better after the pandemic. So, is it good? Eh. Doesn't really matter. It's a Japanese RPG from the 90s. Someone grew up with it, and they're willing to cash out on it, I guess. Guess there's no other way. I promise. So we're carving our names in the tree like a like a romantic couple, I guess. Jowry Heart Chachala, am I right? Just bros. We're just bros going on a deep dive. No subtext whatsoever. Yeah, they'll just be friends. like Princess Peach and Mario, they're just friends. They'll do anything for each other. Fumi Ishikawa. Why would you start with the character design? Oh well. Monster design. Well, so far the soundtrack's better than Suikoden 1, so that's good. Yeah, that's her, Miki Higashino. Yeah, she did the music to the first game. Don't know any other games she's worked on, though. Again, despite being a video game music fan, never followed this franchise at all. No one was talking about the music to this game. The people I knew were Square Enix fanboys. They weren't following this franchise, unfortunately. This game got 5 entries. I want to say it got 5 entries. I think this game got. This franchise did. But I think they were all PS1 and PS2 games. No PS3 games, to my knowledge. Oh, back in the water. So we're doing the Moses thing, huh? They found me by the river, and now I'm adopted. It's like that Indian movie, Bahubali. It's a Telugu language. It's a Telugu language Indian film. Came out in 2015. They dubbed it into Tamil. I believe. And it's the prequel to the highest grossing Indian film of all time. I think at the time it was the most expensive Indian film of all time. Well, that's an odd choice between these two dialogue options, but yeah, it's like, what difference would the dialogue have made? But by the way, the choice that I just made before I jumped off, no, I'm not. So, yeah, I don't even know where I'm from. Because I think the other time, if I said I was from the army, they would have said, "Oh, we're enemies." Before I jumped off the cliff, if you talk to the captain, he reveals that he's gonna kill you anyway. So if you just run to the cliff, you end up getting caught anyway, like we just did. So I don't know if it mattered at all what choice you made, because both choices lead to us jumping off the cliff and carving up the rock and making the promise. The pinky swear across your fingers promise on the rock, I guess. No music here. I tend to believe that even a Final Fantasy game might just include like a music bed for a dialogue sequence like that. Again, like, this is very much like the first game. It's very much a game that feels like a Super Famicom game, like a SNES game that's been converted to a PlayStation game. Not polygonal at all, just something far less expensive, obviously, doing a sprite-based game. Like a lot of PS1 games are sprite-based. Remember in the 90s, like, everything was blowing up on the RPG scene in Japan. Like, Dragon Quest III was so massive that it encouraged a whole bunch of devs to make 16-bit RPGs. And now we're in the PlayStation era, and the production values are way better by then. You can have much better music, much better visuals by then, so you could lean more heavily into the cinematic storytelling with the CD-ROM tech without being dependent on the crappy PC engine CD-ROM or the Sega CD. You could actually make like good-looking games that looked better than most Super Famicom games and sounding better than most Super Famicom games without spending a whole bunch of money on trying to make it look like Final Fantasy VII. And eventually we wound up getting games like Star Ocean 2 on the PlayStation. Games that sequels to games that never got released in the NES. Or the Super NES. Oh, great. We're gonna play Suikoden, huh? So we're playing Suikoden, Voxel, Quirk, whatever. I do have Quirk on the Game Boy. I haven't uploaded any videos yet. So hold down the A button, just push the boxes up against the wall. I can push them both at the same time. I didn't know that. It took me a few minutes to figure out what I was supposed to do here. I think I was supposed to press a button. You're supposed to press a button. You're supposed to press the B button. You also have to push this one over here to the right. Okay, so now we've done our job. But they also want me to get the rope. But again, it's very, like, simplistic stuff. Not sure why they made me do that, but okay. You're welcome. Of course. I'm pretty awesome. Two pairs of boots, huh? What happens if I steal an extra batch? Said 2, so I'll take 3. So I guess I get to keep an extra set, possibly? We'll find out. So we need flint. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to all the instructions. Again, where do I save my game? No idea. Isn't there supposed to be like a book or something? Because we can't save here. We've already been here. So again, we can't save the game here. So it's like Symphony of the Night again. Gotta go in half an hour before you can save your game. So we need flour, and guess what? It's not going to be here. Spoiler alert, there's no flour. So that's going to trigger the next storytelling sequence. It's Leona from King of Fighters. I'm too young for her. Yeah, like I said, like in the first game, young boys not knowing what to do around adult women. What flower? Well, gotta do a fetch quest. My first fetch quest. Yay. It's an RPG. You gotta have a fetch quest. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what would you do without fetch questing? Yeah, fetch. Bark, bark. Oh, he's gonna come with me, right? Well, eventually, I guess. Oh, it's upstairs, upstairs. So I gotta talk to what's-her-name again. Don't flirt with young boys. Don't flirt with young boys, girl. Just saying. Gen. He's a good dog. Me Grimlock. Basically. Me Grimlock, no babysitter. Don't be like that. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's a kobold, yeah. Yeah, so it's a furry game. At least he's honest. Mm-hmm. She's buttering him up. I mean, it worked. So I got a kid and a dog. Amazing. So where's the way out? There he is. Actually, can I go up? I still don't think there's any way to save here. Yeah, great. Yeah, I don't... There's no way for me to save the game, so that sucks. Yeah, I'm pulling my weight. Making the kid do chores. Yeah, I believe the interviews said that some of the interviews that were done, apparently this game was supposed to be based for like a Chinese, Japanese fantasy, historical fantasy fusion. So I guess it's a fantasy world, but apparently it was supposed to pull from Chinese feudalism more than Japanese feudalism. Couldn't tell you the era. I don't know enough about Chinese history to understand the era, but I can understand the storyteller said they wanted to do something exotic, as in not completely Japanese. So they said it like this sort of fake China. So I'm like, that seems cool. And obviously there were games like I remember Culture Brain did a couple of NES games set in China, but apparently they were kind of like, they treated China almost like Disneyland. So it was kind of, it was like they treated China the way we tend to treat Native American culture. So it was kind of, well, I took some damage. When did I take? Like during the fight, I took damage, and I didn't get my health back. Amazing. So we have to go up there to save the game, obviously. So we're getting to fights later. We gotta do our game save. There's Ryubei. Yeah, let's get the flower, then beat up some things. You might have to grind a little bit. It's an RPG. $210. Wow, dog. This is where you save. Alright, so we'll reload the game save here. So how long have we been playing? Does it say? Probably not. Yeah, it doesn't say how long we've been playing. Okay, yeah, that's how long it takes to get to the game. That's how long it takes to get to the first game save. So we'll stop the video. Well, I'm not going to stop the video here. What I'll do is I'll reload where I was. Because there is a setting where I can go back to the main menu. Okay, so like I said, I did my video, my research video for Suikoden 1, and I stated then that I have never played any of these games, any of them. And they're all stupid expensive now. But and no one was really talking about it back then. None of the people I knew were talking about it. None of the JRPG fans I knew were talking about it. They told me about Vandal Hearts. And I did play that game on launch on the PlayStation 1. But hold on. Yeah, it's fine. Either one's fine. But I never played, I think that was the only Konami RPG I played. Yeah, Vandal Hearts, which was it's like a Shining Force. It's a game. It's like Fire Emblem. It's like Shining Force. You move individual, like XCOM. Not even like XCOM. You move individual characters on a map during those fights. It's like Final Fantasy Tactics in that sense. Nothing sophisticated as Final Fantasy Tactics. I remember I played a couple dozen hours of it. It seems fine. It's kind of like Berserk. It was really rustic. Lots of black, lots of red and brown. It's kind of an Iron Age-y sort of story. Very bloody, very violent. Like I mentioned in the previous video. When you kill an enemy, it's like a geyser of blood, like a Monty Python-esque geyser of blood when you kill enemies. I believe it was M-rated. Don't remember the game being any good, honestly. Yeah. Maybe you can talk to Gen. But I want to kill it and get experience. You know how it is. I gotta kill stuff for loot in these games. There's a map here, right? Yeah. Okay, so we're not gonna get any loot here, but we already saved our game. Let me go into this other building. This is a key building? Oh, this is a blacksmith, yeah. Best kind of smith. What would a whitesmith do in a game like this? Anyway. We're not upgrading anything yet. Can't upgrade anything yet. We need cash anyway. So we'll figure that out, I guess. So let's get into a couple of fights and see what happens. And remember, there's a digital manual here. So for this research stream, we'll get into a couple of fights, see how the progression works. Because in the first game, it took you like half an hour of combat to grind up enough so that you don't die every other fight. You don't have to spend the night at an inn every other fight. So it takes like half an hour. You don't have to do a lot of fighting because you gain a lot of experience quickly. Like I think you gain 6 levels in like 20 minutes. But the enemies can one-shot you. Like you'll run into a boar in Suikoden 1 that will kill one of your party members instantly. So it whittles you down and it eats a lot. It tanks a lot of damage. So you're gonna have to kind of run away from some enemies early in the game. So we'll kind of hang out near these two areas and kind of see how tough the enemies are nearby. There's no map here. Like in Suikoden 1, there's no map here. But if you go to the manual, you can go to the world map. That's here. And again, I'm a huge fan of digitizing the manuals. Because again, you don't have to print. No one prints anything these days, really. But this is a much better alternative. Because for starters, it doesn't get lost, it doesn't get stained, and if you tried to look up the price of a Suikoden manual these days, I believe the sequel is like $25, $30 just for the manual. So there is value to this, obviously, because it makes the game playable on its own without requiring any external material like FAQs or walkthroughs or strategy guides. I'm sure were pretty common back then too, because in the 1990s in the United States, most American gamers weren't that comfortable with like Japanese RPGs generally. So you would get games like Phantasy Star 2 and Dragon Warrior getting strategy guides. In the case of Phantasy Star 2, I believe the game actually came with a strategy guide, which basically told you how to play. Because that game was really frustrating if you didn't have maps. You got into a lot of fights, and I played Phantasy Star 2 on this channel for like 4 hours. It's a terrible game, but when it came out, it was the bomb because our expectations were in the tank. We had no idea what a good RPG could be back then, right? So there was something compelling about the basic concept of Phantasy Star 2 that just doesn't hold up. Especially that a game where you can't target individual enemies and you might swing and miss and target the wrong enemy and then you end up dying because that enemy ends up killing you in the next turn. Like stuff I can't put up with crap like that these days. We got past that really quickly when the sequel came out. I still need to play Phantasy Star 4, by the way. I'll pull out my Genesis. It's not on my Genesis. It's on my Xbox One. The Genesis. Was the Sega Genesis collection that I have? I have all the Phantasy Star games on that, but Phantasy Star 2 and 3 are completely missable. For people like me, you've already played Final Fantasy 1, you played Dragon Quest. There's no reason to play Phantasy Star 2 and 3. They're just really antiquated. Phantasy Star 4 seems interesting, though. And I believe, what's your name? Reiko Kotodama? I believe Phantasy Star 4 was the first game that was directed by a woman. And if it wasn't, then the game she did before that, which was the Master System game, I think. It was a Master System game about E.T. It was about an alien. I don't remember the name. It only came out in Japan. What's his name? Jeremy Parrish was talking about it. But if she didn't direct that, she was one of the main artists and one of the main storytellers on that game. I don't remember the name. I just know it's a Master System visual novel about an alien, like E.T. Is the game good? Eh. But yeah, Reiko Kotodama apparently directed Phantasy Star 4. And I can't think of very many video games that were directed by women in the 90s. Maybe on PC there might have been a couple, I'm not sure. So we're number 1, right? No, we're not. We're number 4. Yeah, we're number 4. So we're supposed to go to Kira, right? Eventually. So the numbering system is bad. That's not very helpful. I guess we started the game. We started the game at number 1, and then we wound up going down the river. Okay, so that makes a bit more sense. We'll head in that general direction. This is a research stream. Chill out, alright? Blind random encounters, just like the old days. You can run from some enemies. You can bribe, if you're willing to pay some money, you can bribe them to run away. You can just auto battle. What we'll do is we'll target one enemy. Oh, we have runes. These are items, not runes. Yeah, because we can't choose runes yet. Okay. So let's attack one enemy, and the game will automatically target an adjacent enemy if that one enemy dies. Did she throw the rock at the wrong enemy? Okay, I guess the other enemies died. Okay, that's fine. So let's mash on the A button. and get past, button through all these menus. So I guess they are buffering commands in a way. So she's just automatically targeting an enemy that's not going to survive the assault from the other two allies. My HP went up. Is that my max HP that went up, or did it just heal me? Because I want to say in the first game, your characters get healed. Do they get healed when they level up, or do they get healed after every fight? But again, this is a game from the era where you might need to carry a whole bunch of potions, which is a whole thing, obviously. I didn't double check to see how much money we got. I think it might have been like 100 something. But we did level up a little bit. And T'Challa, yeah, he had already gained some experience from an earlier fight before he jumped off the cliff. Let me check on something. And like in Final Fantasy games, there's a front row, back row system. So we'll check out the formations later, see if it makes a difference. Yeah, I don't think you want Tuda in the front row. Okay, MSL. This needs a bit of explanation. The M next to T'Challa here can attack from the front or the back row, but can only target enemies in the back. It can only target enemies in the front. The S means he can only attack from the front row, so he's a tank. He can only attack enemies in front. She can attack from the front or back and target enemies in either row. So I would move her to the back. But I can't move her back? I can't put her in the back row because there are no characters in the back row. Is that the way that works? That makes no sense. Yeah, the game won't let me put her in the back row. That's stupid. That's incredibly stupid. Yeah, the game won't let me put her in the back row. That's insane. Can I put her in 6? That's stupid. I mean, so I need another character, otherwise I can't occupy the back row. That's stupid. I guess you would call that strategy. Again, this game is known for having like more than 100 characters you can control, so it's like 100 heroes, which is a game I also have over there. I got that game from the library as well. So I guess Suikoden is making a comeback in a way. I think the producer of 100 Heroes worked on Suikoden, excuse me. Well, let's not die here. I want to do at least one more mob before I level up. So I targeted an enemy, but it looks like one of them was going to die anyway. So the game kind of speeds. The game knows who's going to survive the attack. Because I targeted the first enemy. Yeah, I'm just targeting the first enemy. What happens is the game just knows what the results of the combat's going to be as soon as you press as soon as you confirm your commands, the game knows who's going to win. So the animation is sort of delayed. So again, we all chose the same enemy, but we all attacked simultaneously. So again, that's just optimizing your game. That's optimizing your combat. So we got 120 potch again. So it takes 200 potch to spend the night in an inn. So you might not need to spend again. So we're getting into 2 fights. You can't navigate into the forest. That's hilarious. It's a good looking overworld though. It's like they're doing like a mode 7 thing. But it's much cleaner looking than a mode 7. I believe it wasn't Star Ocean did that on the PS1. The world looked like a mode 7. The map looked like a mode 7 bitmap that was being stretched so that your character looked like it was flying over a mode 7 map. So you could argue that the concept of that overworld was from like the Super Nintendo era. Valkyrie Profile did the same thing. You're flying around the overworld and it looked like a mode 7 map. It's like you're in an airship in Final Fantasy IV or Final Fantasy VI. Same principle. Again, typical for the era. It looked ugly. Actually, no. Yeah, but Final Fantasy VI had mode 7 for the entire overworld. But Final Fantasy IV used mode 7 only during the airship sequences. Which at the time was kind of it was a cute thing. It was 60 frames a second hardware. It was hardware based scaling and rotation. So in a game like F-Zero, unlike say Super Hang-On the Genesis, you're getting hardware level rotation of a bitmap. And when it was properly optimized, it would run at 60 frames a second, which F-Zero did. It didn't always run. I think like Super Star Wars would try to do similar looking sequences, and they ran at like 20 to 30 frames a second usually. So it didn't always work. So $70 a person. So again, they charge you based on the person, which is kind of hilarious. But I get it. So again, like I said, we'll level up a few more times. We'll get into a bit more combat. We already saved, so we're fine. Alright, so that's what they're doing. That's what the guest book is. So you don't have to save. You don't have to spend the night at the end to save your game. So I forget what RPGs did this. I want to say on the NES, there were games where you had to spend the night at the end to save. But here it's an option to save for free. So you don't have to pay. In other words, you have to get into fights to save your game. So that was the thing. I forgot what games did that. I think Final Fantasy 1 did that. But the whole vibe was, the whole vibe was you gotta have enough money in your purse to afford to spend the night at the end in case things went south. It's kind of hilarious. Leveled up, so my max HP went up. So I'll double check to see how much experience I'm getting. Yeah, she had 20, now she has 22 hit points. 10 gold is not going to do it, but now, those were low-level enemies. So we'll grind up a little bit. But again, I think this is a decent-looking, top-down map. Like I said, this Mode 7-looking map. Higher resolution than what would have been possible on the PlayStation 1, which might explain why it's so clean. Again, this is a good compromise, I think. Like, it's a remaster in the sense that it doesn't look as blocky and fuzzy as the PlayStation 1 games did. I mean, this looks way better than something like Grandia did on the play, or even the Saturn version of Grandia. That's a counterattack. So he dodged my attack and hit me with a counter, which you can do in the first game too, which is kind of cute. It's all like dice rolls. So there's no real strategy to it. It's not yet anyway. Okay, so Tuda took some hits. If you don't want to drift too far from the, inn, unfortunately. So we'll have to circle back around. How's the map look, by the way? Yeah, I need to get some runes. Hopefully, Tuda will learn some runes eventually. So you have to go to the menu. You have to scroll down here, and you have to go to the world map and use the right stick. So Radat is to the west. We'll do that later. So we'll head back to we'll hang around town so we're near an inn. Then we'll hike out to Ryoka, I think it's called, north of here, near where the river is. Yes, we did take some hits to those low-level enemies. You know, there's trash mobs. They whittle you down just a little bit. So you could go up the mountain. Excuse me. This might just be a dead end. Let me check. No, we can actually go up here. Nope, they're not gonna let me pass to Sparrow Pass, which would make sense. The Mist Monster. Didn't I fight a Mist Monster in Final Fantasy IV? I'm almost certain I did. But like I said, when I play these remasters, I'm kind of curious how the original games looked. We're gonna take a few hits. We should be able to wipe these guys out without dying, unless we whiff on a few attacks. So now we can auto roll. We can auto battle through this. Press the button to speed up the battle. You can fast forward the battle to battle to double time, which speeds up the music too. So. But if you're gonna grind, it's nice to have that option to speed through the grind. We're not getting very much money here, because remember those inns cost $210. We need way more money than this. So we're not going to get a whole lot of money from these guys. And again, like, there's no reason to, like, defend. The only strategy here is to run. But again, these are the sorts of trash mobs you would face in most, you know, early RPG combat back in the era. You know, very simple fights, you know, getting you comfortable with, you know, how many turns does it take to beat these enemies? Like, how much damage do they get? How much damage? Like, how much experience and gold do you get? Like, it's supposed to get you comfortable with that stuff, but there's not a lot of strategy to it early on, unfortunately. So we're in total. So how much is the in here? Okay, it's cheaper, so that's good. So we can spend the night here. It's a cheaper place. Alright, so we'll play this game for about 10 more minutes, probably. We'll see how it goes. Zamza. Well, you have a character profile, Zamza, so you look like a recruitable character. Yeah, why would you invest any time in their character profile unless you were going to be recruitable? And just so you know, we're playing here at the end of July here in Washington, D.C., the Fallout 3 zone of the world. And we're in the middle of nuclear summer. Heat index is in the hundreds. It didn't seem... We had pretty nasty storms this morning when I got up. But it was very sunny once the storm passed. I probably got things really hot again, unfortunately. But yeah, this is that time of year where it's like, yeah, you play your Switch, you play your mini consoles, you play your laptops, you play your Steam Decks. Yeah, the appraiser. Don't get me started. Yeah, the D-pad on these Joy-Con D-pads are not amazing on the Switch. Is it tomorrow yet? Was tomorrow your birthday? Your parents get you a copy of Suikoden or something? You don't want to know how much you do not want to know how much your parents paid for that copy of Suikoden. Just saying. Is it Suikoden or Suikoden? Am I allowed to go? Well. Shall not pass. But again, I've said this before. Every time I play an old RPG like this, I always think, can I remake it in RPG Maker? Probably can. I can run diagonally, so that's good. Can't do that in a lot of RPGs of this era. You can only run in 4 directions instead of 8. So there is that. Miki Higashino, right? That's her name, the musician? I mean, it's not listed in the credits, is it? I mean, there's no credits listed here, right? Yeah, there's no credits here. There's no, like, yeah, they did not convert, like, the acknowledgments or the warranties, because obviously that stuff's dated. But I am somewhat curious about what they would put in the back of the manuals back then, other than, like, warranties and acknowledgments and stuff like that. To me, it's never required. Like I said, I don't buy video games. I don't buy video games with manuals. I'm always trying to save, like, 20-30% on these stupid, expensive retro games. But again, like I said, this game looks like it's trying to do the whole... It's kind of like trying to do an isometric view here for the combat. It's like it looks isometric. Part of me is like, are they trying to do a Grandia thing with all the sprite scaling? Like they're trying to, like, give it a bit more visual pizzazz by zooming in and out like Grandia does. But I remember on the Saturn version of Grandia, it looked way better than the PlayStation version because they did some really weird... They did some really weird texture work in the PlayStation 1 port of that game, so all the combat looked terrible. You kept zooming in and out, and The backgrounds never looked like they matched the size of the sprites. So the zooming in and out looked disorienting in a weird way. But it was also a game where your characters wouldn't immediately attack characters like they do in a menu-driven system like this game. When your character attacked another enemy, they would run towards the enemy and then perform an attack on it, because everything was on a timeline. So when you performed an action, you would say attack that enemy. You would then run towards the enemy, and then once you got close enough, you would do a melee attack on them. The problem, of course, being that if you got intercepted by another enemy in the process, they could cancel your attack. So there was a bit more juice to the combat in that game than in most turn-based combat of the era, because again, it had that positioning and distance-based mechanic that's not in games like this, really. I mean, sure, like a game like this might have a front row, back row system, so distance mattered in that it's a toggle. You're either in the front where you take damage or do more damage, or you're in the back where you do half as much damage, but you take half as much damage, which is fine for mages and, you know, ranged fighters who can do equal damage from the back row, that kind of thing. But that was the extent of the strategy in a lot of RPGs of that era, unfortunately. I'm probably supposed to go back to town and drop this flower off. Like I said, I'm trying to see how the combat holds up. So we do want to spend the night there in the first town. But we can't go up the river back to where we started the game, so there is that. Again, we're not auto-battling because we want to target specific enemies in a specific order. If we do auto-battling, then they'll just attack random enemies. So we want to at least kind of guide the RNG a little bit. But again, the flow of the combat's actually fine. I'm not sure how fast the pacing of the combat was in the original game. Like I said, I never played it. I mean, I did play the remaster here, but I don't know how it played on original hardware is my deal. So it's $150 to spend the night with 3 people. Okay, so we made it. So we're going to spend the night here. And then we'll start exploring further south to see how bad the mobs are down there. But yeah, in the first game, you had to run away from some enemies because some of the mobs are pretty nasty. But yeah, typical wander around the map, blind random encounters, you know, completely typical for the era. So these guys aren't doing that much damage. Ugh. Is it Tuda? Is that her name? She's gonna take way more damage than I want. So we're gonna have to heal just to heal her. I also need to see how much the items are before I end the video, so we'll do that. Yeah, this is what you would expect, you know. Hold on, I think I'm getting buzzing on my microphone. Sorry about that. Wasn't paying attention. So we can spend 2 to 3 fights is usually enough for you to get enough money to spend the night at the end. But we have to get what's her name up to speed because she's gonna take too many shots and she doesn't have nearly enough hit points She doesn't have nearly enough hit points. In fact, I might as well just advance the story just so she can get another party member to help us out. So we might need to advance the story just to get another party member to absorb some of the damage from her. Because remember, I can't put her in the back row because the game won't let me put anyone in the back row. She has to switch places with another person who's already in the back row, which is stupid. Just put her behind her 2 allies. Why does there have to be this dumb? You can't have someone in the back row unless there's a 4th party member. That's stupid. It's an odd decision. Like, it's not a game breaker. It's just an odd decision. Jar for collecting rainwater. Which used to be a thing here in Montgomery County, here in the Fallout 3 area. I guess we don't really do rain barrels anymore. Say that again? Well, maybe he's being true. Guess maybe he's being truthful? I mean, I don't have anything to appraise, so there is that. Yeah, I mentioned, when I played the first game, I paid $500 for a defective urn that was only worth $10. So I saved scum that. So yeah, like I said, the joke I made at the time was that, it's like appraising a copy of, the 360 version of Resident of Fate. Yeah, it's like $10. It's like getting your game appraised at GameStop. Of course, appraisals are free at GameStop. They're $500 in this game. I don't know if the appraisal is more expensive in other towns. We'll find out. Rare finds. Antitoxin for poison. But again, we're not making a lot of money at this point in the game, so the first game I made way more money and leveled up way more quickly, I would argue. We selling? I got the extra boots. I need to put on the boots. Okay, so there's that bag. So let's try that. What am I gonna buy? Escape talisman. Used to escape from dungeons. So it's like an escapipe. An escape pipe from Phantasy Star. Cape. Someone already has one. What is this? So it's a minuscule one pip increase to my defense rating. So how low is my defense rating now? I can go to the status menu and find out. So if I gain 1 pip of defense, what would that mean? See, look at my defense rating down there. 29, 39, 24. So 1 pip of defense is basically meaningless, except maybe for Tuda. Even then, it's only like 5% boost to her defense rating. What's the point of that? There's supposed to be another pair of boots. Can I optimize? Okay, the game won't let me optimize. I can't wear any of this stuff. So I'm wearing two boots. So I'm wearing 2 boots. Not complaining. So I'm the only person who can wear boots, I guess. These boots were made for stomping. Don't want that. But I have gloves, right? Yeah. What else we got? So you can put the medicine in the bag, I guess. Okay, so you can take other people's boots and stuff. But she can't wear boots, to my knowledge. Yeah, she can't wear boots. It's great. Actually, let me see if I can steal that. Okay, so I do need the boots. That's good. So I would argue I need the boots, because I need more experience. I need more, I have fewer experience points. So we'll take T'Challa's boots. I guess we're the same size. Well, they're human-sized boots, so there is that. So she has more defense than I do now because, well, she has fewer hit points. She needs more. I can remove these robes, I guess. All right. So let's go to an actual armory and see if we can get something legitimately useful here. How expensive is it, which is the problem? The Y button on this controller has the map. So you can't buy supplies here. You have to go to the other town. So you can buy items. You can go to the inn. You can appraise stuff. But that's it. Which isn't bad. It's just know what you're getting into. So we'll save here. We don't need to do anything else. So they're doing kind of a Wild Arms thing with the music here, I guess. Yeah, they're doing a Wild Arms thing with the music, which is hilarious. Another female composer whose name I forget. That was not Michiru Yamane. That was, yeah, Michiru Yamane did not. Did Michiru Yamane do one of the Wild Arms games? I don't remember. But I remember Alter Code F having some really dope music. Barely, I have like 2 Wild Arms games behind me on the PlayStation 2, I want to say. But some of those Wild Arms games are very expensive. So, like I said, Japanese RPGs from the early 2000s and 90s were getting kind of expensive, unfortunately. I had Wild Arms on the PSP a while ago, which I remember being kind of weird because it's like you couldn't just fight random enemies because they would constantly whiff, so you had to like run away more often than not. I'm very curious how I would feel about that game now, because I couldn't really make sense of it when I played it. It was like a stealth action. It was a turn-based stealth action game at the time. So I guess it's kind of like Invisible Ink, if you remember that game. I think I own that on Steam. I think I got it as part of a bundle. But Clay was hot for a while. Invisible Ink was a very highly regarded game. It was like it was like XCOM, stealth action XCOM. So leveled up again. So I'm not even paying attention to how many. I don't even know how many experience points I'm getting now. I need to pay attention to that. But I imagine it might be another like 10 fights for me to level up. So you're not gonna level up here. So I can spend more money here to get to. Yeah. So I have to get items here. I go to the armory down there at the bottom. You gotta have the inn next to the entrance. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how you do your town design in these games. So you can spend the night at the first town because it's cheaper. You can save anywhere. But the idea is that you might want to grind up around here. I guess you grind up north of here and spend the night there. We got to go to this. We can't blacksmith. We can't smith anything. We can't forge nothing. Let's see what we got. I think we have to go to the blacksmith to actually buy weapons, though. It's like a mediocre amount of actual defensive ability here. The greaves look cheap. This is all crap. And Gengen can wear the greaves. This stuff's all crap. So again, a meaningless upgrade to my, like an almost insignificant upgrade to my, like a 5 to 7% upgrade to my defensive ability. That's kind of crap. Disappointed. I love Gengen wearing a fur hat. It'd be like a human being wearing a scalp. No, but some other animal. Like he's wearing fur on top of fur to protect his fur. I mean, sure. Does fur armor actually provide any defensive capability? Like, fur armor feels to me like you're covering yourself in foam. Like, I don't see how that actually like absorbs any damage. Like, it keeps you warm, I suppose, but it doesn't actually like absorb a blow. Does anyone ever said I was protected by my foam shirt, my foam jacket, polyurethane jacket? Anyway, so we'll go further south before we end the video, see what's up. But yeah, right now this combat's a bit too simplistic, so I probably need to advance the story just to get something more interesting to happen, and to get a fourth party member to help on these fights. So maybe I shouldn't be doing so much fighting at this point. Well, I saved my game already, so let's just see what's going on here. We might run into an enemy that'll actually kill me. So we might wipe out 2 of these guys right here on this turn. And there's no unite feature like in the first game. Like, there's no party members here that can unite with me to speed up these fights. Because the unite ability allowed you to one-shot a single, like, a single untouched enemy. You can do one-shot them. In the first game, anyway. So I'm curious when this shows up. I'm curious if that shows up as an option here. Just following the road, like in Zelda 2. We'll auto battle through this. Should be fine. See, took out 3 of them in one turn, and dodged the 4th one's attack. So that's all good. So how many experience points was that? Like 30, 40? I'm not even paying attention. I don't know how many experience points we had. So I don't know how many we were getting. I know game doesn't give me a chance to see how many experience points we got. So I just have to remember, I guess. Like, at least show a value that shows how many experience points you earned, right? Uh-oh. Get. Oh, well. But yeah, this very much feels like a late Super Nintendo game that got converted onto a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 1. Conservative, but RPGs didn't have to be, like, visually demanding. Final Fantasy VII was unusual for the era, obviously. So we really can't go anywhere else. Like, we can't go south of here, can we? So I got maybe 90 experience points for that fight. So that's not bad. So it's going to take about 12 fights to actually level up. Not unreasonable. So what is south of here? Yeah. Can't scroll to the bottom quickly. Let's see what we got. The interface isn't that slow, so it's not terrible. So we can't go south. There's nothing down there. So once we cross the bridge to Redat, we might be able to make some progress. We also can't cross over. See where Toto Village is, number 2? We can't cross to that area either. So we're basically stuck on the eastern part of the shore here. So that's unfortunate. Guess we're gonna have to advance the story. So I won't spend a bunch more time grinding up. I just kind of wanted to see what the flow of the game was this early on. Like, how bad is the encounter rate, that kind of thing. Like I said, these are blind encounters. I didn't double check the washing machine to make sure it's still running. Give me a second. Yep, still running. I'm wearing these headphones, so I couldn't even tell. It's pretty good. Yeah, this is your boy. I'm living the dream right here. It's a hot day, so I'm staying indoors all day with air conditioning. 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Got a big fat $20 box fan pointed at me from the other side of the room. I'm playing in the corner of my apartment on my Super Nintendo. Not using any heat if I could help it. So we'll just save our game here and we'll advance the story. So we'll tease the next video by advancing the story. But again, the ends are kind of expensive for the amount of money you're getting during the grinding. This takes a while, so that's unfortunately going to be a problem. Again, for people of the era, like their brain has been fried to the point where this kind of tedium is part of the deal. Look, I'm an old man now. This kind of tedium isn't going to do it for me, I'm afraid. Don't care. I'm trying to advance the story here. Did I get the flower at least? I probably didn't double check to see if I got the flower. I guess I forgot to get the flower. Just a second. There's a log here. I have to go back. I probably have to pin some of this stuff. Look at that. A jar for collecting rainwater gets a pin. Amazing. So how far back do I have to go? So I can't go there. Okay, so we'll pin that, then unpin it later. So we can haul back, or just reload the game save. But it's close enough that we can afford to do this on foot. Whoop, wrong exit. I don't know why we sometimes leave from the north side of the fortress, and why sometimes we enter from the south. Not sure. So we gotta go to the item shop and get this stupid flower. Over here. I guess I skipped this earlier. There we go. I know you. Me Grimlock now captain. Me Grimlock captain now. Literally had to go to another town and borrow another cup of flour. It's amazing. Look, kid, I'm trying to advance the story. So, in the log, we're done. So we had some fun. What do they want me to do? Well, let's talk to this guy. Let's talk to Conan here. Well, we're having fun now, aren't we? Some fun now. Team was having some fun now. Good. Oh, thanks. Bye. Good thing I already saved my game. Was that the fun we were supposed to have? So what was the point of all that grinding if you're just gonna leave? Give me back my loot. Good thing I saved my game already. Yeah, I want my loot back. I want all my crap back, y'all. This is like Grandia. We gotta do chores. We get that dope music when I swab the deck. Dun, 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 dun. See, I lost all my loot. Okay, so we'll end the video here. So I recorded this with my Turtle Beach Recon Nintendo Switch headset, plugged into an audio splitter for the J5 Create capture device, which is plugged in via USB-A connection into my quad-core USB capture, my quad-core Celeron Windows 10 Education laptop with the Windows Camera app capturing this footage at 60 frames a second, which probably isn't that important. We can cut it to 30 at some point. I guess I'll let the music play us out. Can't do it here, though. Can I reload? Yeah, I can reload from here. Okay, that's fine. So we'll let the music play us out. Yeah, the microphone's on. That's good. So the research stream is done. Suikoden 2.